Welcome back to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm your host, Adam Bird. Folks, I've got a great interview lined up for you today that I'm super stoked about. My guest today, he's a business systems architect. He's a serial entrepreneur, which you guys know I absolutely love. He's a regional director for M3 Linked Southern California, where he leads an invite-only collaboration community for high-level founders and executives across Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. He's known for building spaces where meaningful relationships and strategic introductions and mastermind-level conversations happen beyond surface-level networking. I'm like super stoked about this. I'm not even lying. He's the founder of DigiLink, a smart digital networking and business card platform designed to streamline lead capture, follow-up, and relationship management. Guys, get your pen and your papers ready to go here. You're going to want to take some notes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Barry Bradham. How are you, Barry?
Adam Bird, so nice to be here today. Gosh, I've listened to a bunch of your podcasts, and you're doing some really great work in this space.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You, a serial entrepreneur, I feel like is an understatement for a gentleman of your stature and everything that you are doing. Before we deep dive into really what you're doing now, let's get to know Barry just a little bit. Give us a little bit of your background, where you're from.
Yeah, I'm from Washington State, and I grew up from separated families, and so I spent a lot of time in Alaska, lived on Dutch Harbor, believe it or not, for a couple years where they filmed Deadliest Catch. Migrated to Fairbanks, Alaska, did the winters in Alaska, did the summers in Washington, and just kind of had a good time growing up through life, and ended up in Washington State, back with my father through high school, and kind of, went into rodeo and agriculture and kind of went that direction. And later on in life, I was given a book by one of my dads called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, wow, this kind of resonates with me, because I had a stepdad who was in business, and my real dad who was also intelligent but a civil engineer, and they worked in two different ways. And so I kind of was exposed to both of those things. And one thing that really impacted me, and I didn't know it at the time, but kind of really dorked out at 12 years old. I was also riding bulls and learning how to, rodeo and riding horses for work and bucking hay and all that. But on the other side of me, I kind of dorked out on this software called Act 123. Later got sold into it, but it was basically one of the first CRMs I ever remember. And this was probably in 1990, maybe something like that. And it was just really cool customer relationship management software that my stepdad used in his tax business, and really got into the grid on that. And I just realized, that just through life, and after I got through college and kind of left agriculture and rodeo, I migrated into business. That's really where I resonated well. Started companies in real estate and different things, lost everything in real estate. That's what brought me to California. But as in growing my companies, I was like, whatever happened to that Act 123? And where did that go? And how come that's not really a big software? Because that was it. I mean, you could search, you could take notes and all kinds of stuff with your customers. And here we are now in this day of automation and AI, and it's all about CRM, and it's all about how do you communicate with your customers, and how do you grow your company and automate repetitive tasks and all that kind of thing. So I've had a passion for that from an early age, and that's what helped me scale my company. And to automate my company, to scale my company, allowed me to do it without so many employees, which was hectic in its own right for a small business. Got me through COVID, and now I've got several companies all kind of doing the same thing with the same model that I did the first one with. And now I help other businesses do the same thing.
We're going to get touching a lot. Barry, you said a lot there. It's fascinating. You go from the rodeo side of things to bucking hay. Born and raised in Wisconsin. Didn't do the rodeo. Helped with the hay and stuff on uncle's farms and stuff like that, to getting into the business side. That's what I did. I was pushed. I don't want to say pushed into the business. My mindset, I joined the military, and when I got out of the military, I hadn't had my degree yet, and I was like, what was the quickest degree I could get with my military with my military credits. It was business. And I was like, that makes sense, because when you think about it, everything we do in life has some type of business related in it. Buying a car, going to the groceries, balancing your checkbook, or those of us that did back in the day. I'm kind of dating on myself here, but and then you're talking about customer relationship management, or CRM systems. And I've used several of them. You know, I think of CRM systems, Barry, and I think of, my corporate days. We used Salesforce, and there was a couple other ones. I don't even know if they're around, but then like a big one now that I think of is I think it's High Level, or Go High Level, or something like that. But how important is it for small businesses or business executives now, if they're not using, how important are these CRM systems? And can you break down what that is for the listeners that don't know what a CRM system really is?
Yeah, absolutely. How important? Every single business I consult as a startup, and every business that I start, that's step one, is to set up the foundation of the CRM.
Number one, that's your number one thing that you do.
Number one, absolutely. Number one, before legal, before bank account, before anything.
Why?
Start there.
Explain
Why?
why.
Because you got to start with who your customers are going to be, and you've got to start with a pipeline, and to know what your flow is going to be for work. And the pipeline and the opportunities is how you can develop your sales cycle for a new lead all the way to closed business. And bottom line is, we're trying to make money, we're trying to be profitable, and without knowing what that flow is, how can you ever get there?
Right.
None of that matters. Taxes don't matter. Nothing matters until you're making money. So, and you can't survive until you're making money. So you really have to start there, and it's not a lot of effort. You just start out with that platform, and with the right platform, the one that we help customers with. I do a lot of consulting and work with Go High Level. I'll work with several of them. Mine's called Automation Essential Suite. Very, very, very similar to Go High Level, but I've got a lot of plugins that help with a lot of other things outside of that, like lead generation, scraping, Google Map tools. Say you want attorneys in Nashville, you can just say, I want attorneys in Nashville, and it's going to just do all the automation. You're going to get a list of all the attorneys in Nashville with their emails and their phone numbers on.
Really? You can do that?
So I have that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those,
and then,
let me jump in here real quick. So say the name of your system that you have.
Yeah. The acronym is AES, for Automation, or Automated Essentials Suite. And I'm kind of wearing the shirt here.
I love that.
Yeah.
So folks, if you're listening to the show right now, first off, thank you. But you're already online. So open up another browser, and you can actually contact Barry. There's two different websites I'm going to give you here. The first one is comewinwithme.com. Comewinwithme.com. And then I'm going to give you a second one here. Barry Bradham, that's BRADHAM.com. The main one, comewinwithme.com. If you're a business owner, and I know there's a lot of you out there that are listening to this. In fact, I know some of you, we've talked about CRM systems and how they're important, because that was something I've always struggled with, and I'll get to that here in a second, is how do you come up with the right CRM for a small business owner? Get in touch with them. I've got the expert on the show right now. Comewinwithme.com. And reach out to him. Barry, for the small business owner that's just starting out, how do I determine what's the right CRM, or what if if it's, especially if it's a new company, is AES? I mean, you said you got a lot of plugins and make it a lot easier, which sounds absolutely amazing. From a cost perspective side of it, do you, as a business, do you focus on a certain small business that is, $2 to $5 million a year, or something like that? Is there any specific, I guess what I'm asking is, do you have an ideal client?
Yeah, usually their revenue, if they're a startup and they have a little bit of money, you got to have a little bit of money now to start a company. It's not like it was 30 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, 250,000 a year to 3 million a year usually is where my clients fit. My clients over 3 million a year, usually I'm consulting them with technical tactical, the word that I know you probably like a lot, tactical and strategical
Yeah.
business system development. So we're talking about higher level communication skills in sales and marketing so that we can automate the sales process. So we're talking about neural emotional programming language and questions that will really make people think and discover internally while they're reading something or watching a video whether they really have the need for this or not. The pain, it's going to identify that pain that they're having, right? And it's going to help them transition through, oh, this company has the solution to that. Well, for me, the pain is people that have a lot of systems, they don't have time, or somebody that's capable of using them. They're not using them consistently. They're technically broke in one area. I mean, name's not clicking right. They need to fix a DNS record or something. They don't know what that is, and they don't have somebody on their team to help them with that. So technically, there's a challenge. The main thing in picking one is where you have a community of people that can help you. You have somebody that's an expert in that software and that platform that can help you when you're stuck. Not that can get to you in 3 or 4 months, not one that's going to try to sell you something else in the process, but one that's a partner with you in it and be like, hey, I need this done. Can you do it? Yeah, we have a rate sheet. Here you go. $85 an hour if you're plugged in, and we will get this done. And what might take you months or even years, or some low-level person on Upwork might take them going through 3 or 4 people to find somebody who can do it.
Right.
Meanwhile, it took us half an hour and it's fixed and you're on your way.
Right.
So that's the kind of people we look for, people that understand that they need a community, they need a partner, and they're not going to go it alone. So once you're at that point,
Yeah.
then you're a good customer of ours, and we're going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and bottom line, you're going to be making money a lot faster. My clients, as soon as we launch workflows, automated workflows like scheduling workflows or whatever, lead nurturing workflows, they go to a trade show and they go to a trade show, they're giving away all this stuff, but they don't have a CRM that they're connecting with everybody and automating. So when that person walks away from their trade show, 15 minutes later, they get a picture of Adam along with, hey, thanks for stopping by the trade show booth. Love to connect with you. Here's my LinkedIn, something like that. The next day they get something else. 3 days later, they get something else. By the time that they're home from wherever they came from to go to that trade show and you're home, you've got an appointment booked with them. They already know what you do. And now you're just getting through. Are you the right fit? Am I the right fit? And you're getting right to business a lot quicker. So it's saving a lot of people, a lot of time. And with that time that you save, you really have more time to have FaceTime with the actual person. You're not so busy with paperwork and so burned out with all the paperwork you're doing all day long. You have more time for conversations. I'll tell you, before this, 10, 15 years ago, I couldn't have dreamed about having time for podcasts, public speaking, helping other people. My one business was dragging me down so much. I was working, if I was lucky, 18-hour days and and getting a chance to sleep between some days when I was trying to figure out everything on my own. And boy, that's a tough way to go.
You're bringing up a really good thing right now, Barry, is trying to figure it out on your own. How many of you out there, myself included, and you guys have heard me talk about this before, is doing it on your own? Like you just think you could. You don't get anywhere in life doing everything on your own. You can't. Name a successful person that did everything on their own with no help from anybody. And I think that's why it's so important to find a community that you can be in. Barry, let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned community. I want to really kind of dive into this a little bit more. How important is it for business owners and executives to be a part of a community? And are there certain communities that you recommend?
Wow. Well, for me, being an entrepreneur can be, now I know some people aren't like me, but those that are maybe listening who are, it can be lonely. You're in front of a computer, you're going down rabbit holes and you're working hard. And sometimes it's hard work, but sometimes it's not effective. And yeah, you learn a lot in the process, hopefully. But man, wouldn't it be nice just to say, hey, I'm going to cut out the noise of learning all these things and these rabbit holes. And I know this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get there a lot quicker just by doing these things. That's what a community does, because a good community, I just joined and I'm now an owner in M3 Linked in Southern California, and probably will have all of California here soon by the end of the year, and other places nationally if it goes well. But what I'm doing here is helping the owner of that and his really fantastic people. Joe Beck is his name, and his wife, Abby Beck. They're in Arizona as well, in Phoenix area. Mm-hmm. But they now own M3 Linked. And the reason I love it is because they have a national community called M3 Nation, where you can go to and meet nationally with people all around the country. So you're getting the best of the best in the country and soon to be world. Now we're getting people from Philippines and from I think China. There were two international members now, so it's really growing fast. And why I like it is you're not just there to network and to sell to each other. In fact, that's frowned on. You're there to refer business to each other, make strong introductions, connect with each other. And there's breakout rooms where you can go to and sit down at a table with 4 or 5 people and just really get to know who they are. Schedule your one-on-ones. And it's not about scheduling a one-on-one to sell them. It's about getting to know them deeper so that you can help each other with your business.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a board of directors in your business yet, and most businesses under 3 to 5 million don't, who do you have that you can like really talk tactically about your company, where you're going, where you've been, how you're going to get there? Likely there's somebody else at that table who's been through that journey and can help you. And that's another division of M3 Linked. It's called M3. And I'm not selling M3 Linked by any means. There's others out there. Vistage, I've been a part of Vistage, and EO, Entrepreneur Organization.
Yep.
BNI at a smaller level.
Yep.
Chamber of Commerce's. There's lots of them out there, right? Superstars and masterminds and all these things. They're all great. Find the one though that has a community for you, that builds you as an entrepreneur and a business owner, peer-to-peer advisory, also the referral part, and also the connecting part, because that's critically important. Live events are important. Virtual events are important. They all sharpen our skills. They make us better about talking about our business. And once we get that so easy, it's kind of like learning how to golf.
Yeah.
When you're learning how to golf and you're out there with 4 people and you're trying to talk business, it's very tough because you're trying to play golf.
Right.
But once you play golf long enough, 10 years later or whatever, now you can talk business because golf is natural.
Right.
Well, talking about your business needs to be natural. So natural that you know who your target is, you know who your best power partners are, and you know how to relate quickly. So now you can just spend your time listening and finding out about them and their families and their kids and what they like to do. And maybe there's synergy between the two of you. And when you're in Orlando, you can meet up and play golf or whatever it is you know that you related with that person with, and just get to know them on a different level. That's really cool. That's what community does. It grows you as an entrepreneur, but it also helps you with relationships, not just locally, but also nationwide, internationally even.
I love the community side of it. It's actually one of my public speaking topics that I talk about is building a community, and it's so important. I think, you know, I've done in those. I have a networking group that I started, and we recently just started licensing agreements for other chapters on it, and it's one of those things where you can't sell in our group. We don't want you to. I'm a firm believer, like if you're a business person, you should never have to sell the product, especially if you believe in the product first and foremost. People aren't buying necessarily. You're creating that relationship on a one-on-one. If the person first, you establish that relationship. Barry and Adam establish a relationship. If Barry comes to Adam and says, Adam, you need to try this, blah, 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 and we've established that trust and that relationship, I'm not going to think twice about it. Because I trust Barry and I believe in that. And that's what really sales is you don't have to sell the product. If you believe in the product, the product will sell itself. You got to sell you first and foremost. That's my opinion. Would you agree with that?
Man, I'll tell you, Adam, that you hit it on the head, because how could you walk into a room where you're a stranger with some other stranger? You haven't put in the time yet to get to know everybody in the room.
Right. And
there's nothing that annoys me more than the one person that's been an insurance agent or something for 6 months or 8 months. There's other senior levels, and we've been as a group for a long time, knowing each other and doing business with each other maybe. And to think that you've already earned the right to try to pitch somebody in that room.
Yeah.
You got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
You got to earn your right. And you do that by getting to know the other person. And you can't know what's good for them until you really get to know them. Right. So until you know how they're doing things and whether that's successful or not, or working or not, but you also have to know enough to be like, oh, well, what you're doing is working. It's great. And you got a great relationship with somebody already. That's fantastic. And I respect that. And and that's maturity, I think, and as a business owner. And then, and by being that mature, that other person is going to know if somehow that other person slips up or they go away or something changes, they'll come to you. If you've done your job, you've been a good role model, you've paid your dues, and you've earned the right at that point to be that advisor for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Here's another thing I want to say, people. There's a book called The World's Greatest Salesman, and they talk about the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule meaning as a sales rep, you listen 80% of the time, 20% of the time you're talking. And when you go into groups, I use the 90-10 rule, I like to call it. It's like, shut up, keep your mouth shut. If you're going to talk, ask questions to get to know the people that are in that group. And like what Barry just said, you gotta earn your time to be there. It may take several times for you going to that group before you actually somebody might ask you, oh, what do you do? Or start getting more involved in that aspect of it. I never want to pitch. I'm a firm believer of never pitching the first 2 or 3 times that I'm in a group until unless somebody's pushing me and trying to drag it out of me. I'm always asking, well, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? Because my purpose is to help other people get to where they want to go. And I'm also a firm believer of good karma, right? Like you help people, eventually that'll come around. But more importantly, I want to establish that trust with people, and I want to be a trusted person that people can come to, be like, hey, Adam, I got something for you, blah, blah, blah. But what can we do for you? Oh, well, now that you asked, because they've
Spot
done
on.
That, right?
Yeah, spot on. And another way you can do that, and I don't know what you're doing in your group. I'd love to be a guest sometime.
Absolutely.
But one thing that's really effective is to tell stories, because you're talking about a story that was a win for one of your customers, and make it a truthful one. Make it one that you're passionate about and that you really impacted somebody's life, because that story is going to resonate with other people. And when you're in these groups and you're talking about a story, that's going to help them understand the pain point you solve, how you solve it, and why you. And that's sometimes what it takes. And if you do things the right way, you can escalate that process of trust really, really quickly. Adam and I just met for the first time right now, and I feel like because of his style and my style, we've already kind of escalated our relationship and our trust to where if he calls me tomorrow, I'm going to pick up the phone, and probably the same way around. And that's what our goal is to be real, to be human, to be honest, to be open. But you have to do that delicately, and you don't start by selling
No,
to somebody.
don't cold. The one thing I hated about it, and maybe Perry, I hated cold selling, cold calling, and so it was horrible. And don't get me wrong, there is a place for it, because sometimes you have to do that before you can establish that trust with somebody. But don't go in and be like, hey, I've got just the deal for you and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wait a minute, I don't know who you are. You're not on my Christmas card list. Like, don't don't do that to me. Not yet. So that's so on the communities. I want to transition a little bit and talk about, we live in a very technological era right now. And AI, artificial intelligence, AI is here. It's not coming. It's already, it's here. Like full-fledged, in your face, here. In your experience, Barry, how have you used AI maybe to automate some stuff? Or what's your, let me back up. What's your thought on businesses incorporating AI as a tool within their business?
There's a lot of different types of businesses, and there's a lot of ways to do that. I'll tell you a couple of my experiences.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I mean, this is a topic that we could have a podcast every hour on forever. But really, for me, it's helped me to. I've already been automating. I've already been scaling. But now I have an AI auto attendant who can help, and a lot of it's just coming regardless. If you're using Gmail, you see that it's already giving you an AI summary of an email, which is fantastic. So that's kind of what's already being kind of shoved, down our throats, which I think if you're like me, you're probably like, wow, that was kind of helpful actually.
Yeah.
But I build tools using different platforms, OpenAI and Claude and Grok and ChatGPT and all of them. And then putting that together with N8N and building different structures that help my customer from either they're a startup with a business idea. It helps them to say, okay, here's the 5 things I need to do this month to keep me on track for that company.
Yeah.
They don't know where to start. Maybe they don't know what the process is or what to go about. So it'll help them get through that process by just answering some questions, a 15-minute survey they can take on their own. As a consultant, that's been really beneficial to me because it helps them with that journey. Then I can sit back and say, okay, I see where they're at, I see where they're going, and now it saves me a lot of time, so it saves them, my client, a lot of money,
Right.
and now I can go in and really be more effective in our first session.
So you can
That's
go in
just
and roadmap it for them based off of the survey that they took.
the AI does that based
Yeah,
on
okay,
prompts
gotcha.
that I've already written
Okay.
using different AI. So it's basically, and then I have another tool. There's 3 aspects to this. This is called BBEIQ, Barry Bradham Entrepreneur IQ. And the first one is I want to start a business, but I don't know what I'd be good at. I don't know what it is. So it's going to ask them questions like, what are you good at? What do you love doing? What do people say you're good at? What's your budget? What's your time frame? How much money do you want to make? What's your do you want to manage people? Do you want to just do it yourself? It asks all kinds of questions like that, and all of this is built to say, here's some ideas we recommend that would be a good fit for you. Would you like to start exploring one of these? And that'll help them develop a marketing plan, a business plan, and that kind of thing. And then the other one is for a stagnant business that's not growing. They're not growing, and they're maybe even decreasing or declining in revenue. So it will walk them through that process for their needs. But the idea is to get them to acknowledging kind of where they're at and how can I just cut out the noise at this point and focus on the highest, most proactive activities I can do to impact my company right now. And AI will help do that with some clarity if it's the right AI tool, but I'm building more like consulting AI tools. And so that's been very effective with my clients to help them with that process. And then it helps me have more time to be human with them and help them tactically say, okay, this is the direction. And usually it's spot on and they agree with it, but they don't know, maybe a couple of those things, they don't know how. And that's where I help them. I help them with the how and with the tactical part of that, thinking in terms of, you know, 30 plus years of business experience that I have, and things that have worked for me, things that I know other people, I can connect them with other people too, if I'm not the answer. So AI has helped in that manner. It's also helped. I told you about the Google mapping tool.
Yeah.
I built a tool that works with Go High Level that you actually can type in your social media prompt, like this is what I want to say, this is what I want to promote, and it will generate hashtags based on that and the copy and an image. If you have a product image, you could upload your image. Different AIs can do that, but if you don't know which ones are going to be the best, and it'll save a lot of time and it'll just make it great from the beginning. And then it'll save that and Go High Level in draft mode. So automatically it just plugs right in and it'll save all those things. And you can say, I want to make 5 of these posts or 10 or 20, however many you want. And then it's going to save them in draft mode, social media posts, whatever you have connected, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, YouTube, if they're videos. So it'll put them all in draft mode there. And then you can go in and maybe make a fine tune or a correction or add a link or refine a call to action, launch that right away, or you can set that. If it's something you want to launch every week, set it as reoccurring. It's going to, every week, you're going to drop that social media post. Your good ones, I recommend doing that. So a lot of these things, knowing how to use, the software, if it's Go High Level or if it's RAES, these things are, knowing how to get there quickly is very beneficial. And so the AI, and then also AI answering the phone. I mean, that AI agent, it's fantastic. Hey, do you need a link to the website? Can I text it to you? Can I email it to you? And then as a human, you get the AI transcript of what that phone call was. Say you missed it because you were at lunch or you were with your family or vacation or it was 2 a.m. That AI agent is somebody connecting with them. Yes, it's AI, but it's getting very, very good. And at least it's better than a voicemail. Trust me, it's better than a voicemail because it's more interactive, it's more engaging. And you can get the transcript and they're already getting communication. And then you can just poach into a text message if that's what it was and be like, hey, this is Barry. I want to make sure that you get human contact and human touch. I see this is what you've already experienced. Let's set up a one-on-one and dive into this deeper. So the AI connected, made sure you didn't lose it. If you're a plumber and you just missed a call, you probably lost a customer. But if AI stepped in and did it, or they missed the call and they got automated text back immediately, that's engaging, and that could have their link to schedule an appointment, or
Yeah.
this is an emergency. I got a plumbing problem right now. How do I get in there immediately? Oh, great. Reply with this emergency. And then that way I know if I'm at lunch with my wife, okay, well, it's an emergency. So that's maybe my wife understands I'm going to step away for that. That means a larger paycheck is something I need to take. But if it's a sales call, I don't want to interrupt my lunch with my wife or my whoever, my kids, for that type of a call. So AI helps to filter the noise for the business owner. It helps us to be a more calm business owner, more calm CEO I talk about.
Yeah.
But to have more time with humans, and to more be human with humans, it gives us that time, cuts out the noise.
Comewinwithme.com. Comewinwithme.com. Check it out, guys. Barry, let me ask you something with AI and stuff like that and everything that you just said. So it is a tool, but you said twice in there, you said, or three times actually, you mentioned the human factor. How important is it when using AI that people still ensure, or let me rephrase, how important is it for business owners to make that human contact with potential clients or current clients, even though they've incorporated AI into their systems?
To answer that, I think it comes down to how big is the business and how good are the tools they're using. If they're a big business, it's almost expected that it's going to be perfect system. I can get in, get what I want, get what I need, and get it done. And I trust it. If there's any hiccup at all, you got to use humans. If it's perfect and you got a good brand and you're very well known in your community, you
Fair.
could probably get away with it.
Yeah.
If you have a personal touch kind of company and that's what you want your brand to be and that's what you want your voice to be, it's going to help you to do that more. So to do that, of course, there's a sacrifice, right? The more human you are, if it's you, the less you can really scale because there's only so many hours in the day.
Right.
But that's a personal choice that you can make, and that's what's great
So
about
find
it.
that,
You still need it.
find
Still
that
can use
level
it.
then. Find that level
That's
if
right.
that's important. But that's
Yep.
so great. I'm so glad that you said that. Man, Barry, we're coming up on time here, and I feel like I could go another 3-4 hours with you, man.
We can do another one
I could
anytime,
geek
Adam.
out about this. The show's called The Decision Hour. We have to make decisions every day. Name a time in Barry's life where your feet are on the line and you have to make that decision. What is it, and what's the atmosphere like at that time?
Man, it's really nice when you can make a decision when something's not on fire. If it's in the burn barrel, man, it's a little too late. But if you can if you can operate calmly and have the time to have the foresight, which is what AI and technology and automation allows you to do,
Yeah.
is to be on the heels of your feet, but yet be prepared. You can always have the energy when you have to get to the balls of your feet and make a decision, make a move in tennis, whatever it is. Um, it's important to make it quickly, but to really have it thought out. So I would say, your advisor, your community team is important for that. People that you trust, that can be a soundboard for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out there and you try to make too rash of a decision too quickly, and it's the wrong one, if it's that critical of a decision, it could be bad. And I've done that before, many times. So I try to make time to have a soundboard of people that I can say, hey, I really need you right now. Can I have 10 minutes, 20, whatever? I need to tell you my situation, help me make this decision. And then listen to it, listen to yourself and be honest. I've had many decisions like that. I'd say one of them is when I had I had 3 websites at the time selling the same product, and it was very tough because I didn't have enough employees. And this is pre-COVID, but COVID was happening, and change was already starting to happen too. I'm in a state where rising, it's not a very employer-friendly state in California, and so minimum wage is going up beyond its years, and they cut, and then the employees had all the control, and they have all the power and all the leverage, and I don't want to sound like a weak leader in saying that, because companies do it, and better
But
leaders
it
and
is what it
stronger
is. You're calling it
companies
how it is. Yeah.
get through it.
Yeah.
But for me at the time, it was a tough spot to be in, And rather than sit there and make excuses and let my companies go down, I had to axe a couple of them real quick, consolidate them, and kind of put my clients and my customers through a turbulent time. But looking back, it was the right decision to do. And my customers understood, and I did lose some, but the ones that I kept are the ones that are still with me, and it was a good move. But I'd say always, have that soundboard of people you trust, and that doesn't start with a new relationship and boom, they're there. That you have to invest in that community. It could take years, but it also could take months, and that depends on you and the people in your community. But when you connect with me at comewinwithme.com, that's one thing you'll get. You'll get an invite to what I do and to my life and to my team, with all kinds of things, not just this, but you'll get an introduction to the other things that I do. And more importantly, though, to meet you where you're at with your business. And maybe if you're going through a difficult time and you have a difficult decision to make, I'd love to listen to what that is and help you with that. And I don't know what Adam offers. It sounds like you've got some great things too. But people like Adam and I, we're doing this because we care about you. We've been there. And we've got other people that have been where we want to be. We got to connect with people like that too. And that's where community helps. We're not at the top of that. We're somewhere in the middle, hopefully, and maybe growing. But as you grow, the kind of the floor comes with you and the ceiling raises above you. And that's how life is. But decisions are fun. They're more fun if something's not on fire. If something is on fire and a decision needs to be made, use some people you trust as a soundboard.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it's so true. Ladies and gentlemen, comewinwithme.com. We've got the best in the business on the show right now. Comewinwithme.com. Reach out to Barry. If you're a small business owner or you're just getting started, you're foolish not reaching out to him. He's an expert in this. That's why we got him on the phone today. And on the show today. So, Barry, in closing, anything you want anybody else to know?
If entrepreneurs want to learn how to structure their business so it runs more efficiently using automation and AI, they can connect with me. Like you just said, comewinwithme.com. I spend a lot of time helping businesses, helping owners simplify operations, improve client engagement, and scale using systems that remove this daily chaos. So again, go to comewinwithme.com, comewinwithme.com, and I'll send you free tools, gifts, web apps that I've developed. DigiLink is one I developed. We've got 10,000 users now in, I think, 9 or 11 different countries. It's growing rapidly. It's a digital business card that's free to get. So you'll get an opportunity to get one of those as well for free. But I develop tools using AI and automation and different software and web apps that help business owners with your journey. So I'd love to be connected. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Barry Bradham, or follow me on Instagram, Barry Bradham Entrepreneur. And I'm happy to see you and happy to keep, like Adam, keep making good content that helps business owners.
Appreciate you, Barry. Thanks for joining us today.
Boy, it's been a pleasure. I hope to do it again. Thanks, Adam.
Folks, we're going to have all of Barry's contact information in the show notes below. So make sure you go check Barry out on the social platforms. comewinwithme.com. Check it out. Listen, you're already listening to the show. Open up another browser. Go to comewinwithme.com. You'll thank me for it. I promise you. Make sure you also check out our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Go check out all the podcast shows, new articles that are up over there. If you're a podcaster and you're looking for a new home, we'd love to have you. Go to heroesmediagroup.com. That's all the time that we got today, folks. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.